Hello and welcome to Paper of the Week. I haven't done one of these for a while, so this is a bit exciting. So I got to kind of pick this one, and it's one of my little pet projects that I really enjoy. This paper was published September 10th, 2018. So it's a fairly recent paper. It's, a few weeks old, frankly. And basically the title says it all. And I'll read the title and I'll explain what the title means. It says LDL-C, or LDL cholesterol, does not cause cardiovascular disease, which is a comprehensive review of current literature. LDL-C, LDL cholesterol. What is LDL cholesterol? Technically, it stands for low-density lipoprotein, or you might know it as the, quote, bad cholesterol. And we always go, quote, bad cholesterol because, and this study shows it. It's not really bad. And I'll explain why it's not really bad, because LDL cholesterol, well, let's talk about cholesterol. Cholesterol is a mechanism how the body transports fats around the body. So if, you want to transport fats to your tissues to make things like hormones in this case, then it transfers it with amino acids or proteins. So you actually get a fat and a protein stuck together. And this means it's water soluble, so it can be transported around the body. And that's called a lipo-fat protein, lipoprotein. And then there's high-density lipoproteins with lots of protein in it. And then there's low-density lipoproteins, which have got more fat in it. And the low-density lipoproteins are made in your liver to be secreted around your tissues, your brain, your hormones, your gonads, everywhere, to make these things like, hormones, makes cortisol, DHEA in the adrenal glands, all these sorts of things. So it's an essential thing. So your body makes this cholesterol. In fact, it makes about 80% of your cholesterol in your body. So most of the cholesterol that, when you go to get the blood tests and you test cholesterol, most of that is made in your liver, and about 80%. And your liver makes the bad cholesterol. Now, before we go into all the data here, you must wonder to yourself, well, if my liver's making most of this cholesterol, how on earth is it killing me? Well, it's not. And that's what this paper is saying. And that's what natural therapists have been saying for years, that naturopaths are right. The cholesterol is not the thing that kills you. And, in the early days, it was just cholesterol was bad and that was the end of it, and don't eat eggs. Well, even the Heart Foundation has said that, okay, the amount of cholesterol you eat doesn't matter. But there is a consensus among the medical community that LDL, or bad cholesterol, will cause heart disease. And so all these researchers got together and published this paper in Expert Review of Clinical Pharmacology paper. And this is the paper here. So it's a big scientific paper by lots of well-credentialed authors. And what they've basically concluded is that when they looked at all the data on cholesterol, they found correlation, but they didn't find causation. Now, let me explain the difference there. They found that some people that have atherosclerosis or heart disease have LDL cholesterol that's raised. So there's a correlation there, but that doesn't mean that LDL causes that. And so they looked at the data and they looked at all the studies on this and which one causes and all this sort of stuff. And they basically said, and I'm going to read this word for word as I put it away from me because I've got eyes, and haven't got my glasses. Our search for fellow stations of the cholesterol hypothesis confirms that it is unable to satisfy any of the Bradford-Hill criteria, which is a criteria for causality, and that the conclusions of the authors of the 3 reviews are based on misleading statistics, exclusion of unsuccessful trials, and ignoring numerous contradictory observations. So they basically said, well, they just ignored some of the data that said that LDL doesn't cause heart disease. So they've ignored the data, and they've basically what we call cherry-picked the data. So when you cherry-pick data, it might say might be 3 studies that show that LDL is associated with heart disease. And if 2 of them show that it does and 1 shows the opposite, you just pick the 2 that do, and then you say, well, look, we've reviewed the evidence, and here they are. It causes it. The data is now showing that the previous studies looked at only some of the data and cherry-picked some of the data to make a hypothesis that LDL causes cholesterol. So it's very, very, very skew-if with the data. And also now we know, and I'll quote the paper here, it says there is an increasing understanding that the mechanisms are more complicated and that statin treatment, which is the #1 drug sold in Australia, statins like Lipitor, simvastatin in particular, when used as primary prevention, is of doubtful benefit. So what they're saying is that the average Joe six-pack goes to the doctor says, hey, you've got high cholesterol, high bad cholesterol, we're going to give you a statin. Okay, the statins do reduce the cholesterol, but they don't reduce the heart disease. That's what this study is saying. So it's very, very new papers, very exciting stuff, and we can put this paper up on our website. It's very, very well written. It's a huge paper. So it's just going to throw the cat amongst the pigeons, which is what we love here at ATP Science. So thank you very much and have a great day.